The position officers went ahead and committed
Welcome back to the continued coverage of the Edo State Governorship Election Results Collation here at the INEC headquarters in Benin City, the capital of Edo State. I'm Sean Wakimbale. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. So far, we know as of now, 14 local government area results have been turned in by the coalition officers and the electoral officers for those local government areas. If I can quickly put you through some of these local government areas, Igweben has been turned in, Essen Northeast, Essen Central, Ikobaha local government, Ohunde local government, Ego Owan East, Owan West, Essen Southeast, Ovie Northeast, Esako West, Essen Southeast, Alredo local government area, and Essen West. All these 14 local government areas results have been turned in an election that created a lot of, brought with it a lot of intensity, and up to this moment, a lot of people are still hoping to know who the winner of the exercise will be. The winner, of course, will be the next governor of Edo State for the next 4 years. Of course, there are constitutional provisions on how the winner can emerge, what will make a winner. A winner is required to make, to have a lead in the election, and apart from that, to have a 2/3 spread in the total number of the local government areas. There are 18 local government areas in Edo State, so the winner will not only have the superior figure of votes, but will definitely need to have a spread in 2/3 of the 18 local government of Edo State. It's been some very, very, very interesting moments leading up until this day. The collation exercise, which started in the early hours of the day, when a lot of people have been waiting, journalists, observers, and officials who had conducted the election on Saturday, that is yesterday, have been waiting to put the result together. Don't forget that this process is also backed by law. It's required by law, the collation process, the ECA forms, all the necessary paraphernalia that makes up this collation exercise. When the presiding officer the chief returning officer, I meant to say, will eventually put the figure together and make a definite announcement in terms of the number of the votes cast, the registered voters, the number of accredited voters, the number of the votes cast, the number of votes garnered by the political parties and their candidates, and of course the winner in the end.
Thanks again for staying with us on the live stream. Results from other local governments, 5 of them actually remaining. We're just thinking that they were ready for the announcement of the remaining local government. That will come in no distant time. But let's get back to our studio conversations. Comrade, you were on.
Yeah, so we're talking about the ownership and the factors that led to this. The people, like I've said, they saw insincerity on the part of political actors. Number 2 is that human beings generally go with the underdog, go with the one they feel is being oppressed.
One they feel is weak,
yes,
or is weaker.
Being oppressed. The incidents, the series of incidents that led to the movement of Godwin Obaseki away from the APC into the PDP were incidents that the people followed very closely. For them was that this man remained loyal to the party till the end. As a matter of fact, after the so-called disqualification and the proclamation of the NWC that they were now the new Supreme Court, the governor still remained and insisted that he needed to brief the president before taking the next line of action. Edo people appreciated this and connected with it. This is a loyal man. So when he eventually left, remember that the pressure had even started building on the part of the people that wherever he went, they would go. You remember that beautiful song of carry your ticket, go. Anywhere God bring day, night they go. So all those ones came from the people. Perhaps one of the things that underlines most graphically the people's ownership of this process is that money has always been a deciding factor in our elections. We can point at several elections where deployment of funds eventually decided who the ultimate winner was. But in this election, money was deployed in large sums. I can tell you that because I was on the field. Money was deployed. Remember that part of the voter education that very many of us had done, including aspects of the media and all of that, was that, look, instead of insisting don't collect money, in an atmosphere of pervasive poverty, we had changed the chorus from don't collect their money, don't tell them your money perish with you. That's not working. Remember that this money that they are deploying is not theirs, because anybody who has worked well for money will not deploy it the way they do. Collect the same money, let your conscience be intact, and then go and vote. You remember that several weeks before the election, we had carried out major interventions in the deployment of cubicles. So the open secret ballot, which INEC gave effect to by the compulsory deployment of cubicles, allowed the people to collect money and at the same time do the needful. So that's the second area of ownership. People recognize, in spite of the fact that you are giving me money. In some places, 5,000, 10,000. I understand in certain units, they even rose up to 20,000, depending on the dramatics personnel at that level. But the people collected money, went ahead and voted. Two, if you visited any of the units, you will find that the people have taken over the job of the INEC officials in sorting out, collating, and counting. And the moment the figure was given, there was an eruption into jubilation. That is a mark of the people's ownership. But as we get along in the program, we will discover that whoever wins this election, even though I already know unofficially, must realize that a lot of responsibility has been created. They say, to whom much is given, from him much is expected. The people in this election gave so much, and whoever is going to govern in the next 4 years must now realize that the people cannot be taken for granted anymore. Okay. It's a paradigm shift for me. It's going to define not only what happens in Edo State and the South-South, the revolution, the political revolution that this country has always yearned for, has just begun in Edo State.
Dr. Bright, ownership of the election by the people, what's your take?
Well, I could, like I've already written on my Facebook page and some other social media platform, I have been one of the advocates that say that your vote will actually count, but you must be able to see where those who does not want your votes to count, where they are coming from. We had peace rally. We talked about peace before the election, and we know that those that don't have content on the table of agreement, they are the ones that cause crisis, because they don't have any issue to bring forward, but they just want to erupt a crisis. So going out to educate the people, to talk to the people, one of the things we actually talked about is that if you know what you want to do, why bother to fight another person? Just be calm. Go and do what you need to do. Because as the election is coming, for example, if you've made up your mind that I want to vote for Mr. A, and Mr. A is trying to ferment crisis, Mr. A has nothing to lose. It is you that has something to lose. So what do? Stay calm and just go and do your bid. And I believe that was what the people did. Yes, the election was peaceful. There was no fine. Of course, you must surely have some pockets of crisis, but it was very, very helpful. And I also want to say something. You see, the power of social media is very, very key. You know, we had real-time reporting and real-time intervention.
But some of them were fake news.
Yesterday, okay, let me give you, yesterday I drove past Ohoro down to unit 16 in Ward 9 as a Zonia secondary school or something.
Zonia Grand Academy.
Yes, I drove to that place to check on one of the observers on feed, and I saw, I haven't seen what has happened there. I drove back You know, getting to Tesami Road, I got a call that the polling units in Ward 9, Unit 15 has been moved to Playhouse Hotel. I was kind of reason. I know I passed through that place, so I didn't see them
like that.
voting inside that place. But what did I do? I had to say, okay, things may have changed. I drove back. And I got to that place. I walked into the Playhouse Hotel. I didn't see anything going on there, but fine, they had issues. There was no space. You know, I talked about space earlier.
In the polling units?
Yeah, there was no space. So they're looking for various options. So one of the options that came was the Playhouse, which the owner of the hotel gladly gave out. But because of his affiliation, the people
resisted.
Yeah. The people resisted. So the only available option was that Poultry Road, which they have to set the cubicle and the voting area.
Okay.
You see, it's people are happy, people are satisfied. For me, not necessarily because of the way the result is going or in favor of who the result is going, but it was more of a decision. Because people will tell you that I don't want to go and vote. Why? Because they will vote A and they will announce B. Their votes will not count. Okay. But with what we are seeing now, because I overheard somebody like saying yesterday, how will this be manipulated? Because as you are getting, you are sending it up. So there are various comparisons. You know. So you see, even in the various polling units, people who are supposed to maybe they are angry or one thing or the other. No. This one is party A. This one is party B. They are just doing what they are doing in their own way. So there wasn't provocation. And when there is perceived, because there was somebody who was chased yesterday at around the Auntie Maria area. You understand?
Siloko Road?
Yeah, Siloko Road. Okay. That he was attempting to vote more than once. Now, what I saw yesterday was that it was not just one supporter of maybe a particular party that was against the person, but it was a collective action to say, get out of this place. I think one thing here is that I think people should build on it to begin to see that they have a role to play. Because somebody will say, oh, no, we won't go and vote because our vote will not count. And I ask the question, if your vote is not counting, the politicians for who they are, they will not go and campaign. They will not go from word to word. They will not talk. They will just sit in one place and feel maybe their money bag could take care of everything. But because they need your vote, they have to come out. They have to talk to you. They have to see you. You understand?
Yeah.
So you actually have that power. Like Comrade Austin has already mentioned, you understand? The response, the reaction, the publicity that was given to this election, we can also use that as an avenue. Let's also engage the government in this manner. It will go a long way to change the narrative because it's all about the people.
Okay. Comrade, yeah. Ownership of the election. I mentioned earlier, or maybe in the first segment, that in some of the arrests that were made, the arrests were made by the citizens themselves. I think it was a video I saw maybe somewhere in Uromi where they arrested a guy who has, watts of cash with him. It wasn't the police. And then I saw another video, I think that one was at Ministry of Education, Iyaro. A lady was alleged to have come there with money too, and people just came and chased her out of the place immediately. Yes. Let's get your perspectives along those lines.
Well, that is part of the ownership we are talking about. Edo people yesterday got so resolved, knowing what they were expecting, that there was going to be monetary inducement here and there. Some people decided to say, no, wherever polling unit we are present, we will not allow it to happen. And true to type, they activated all they needed to do, and they succeeded in making sure that most of those polling units never experienced the issue of vote buying. That is part of the taking over of ownership. And in addition to what I've just mentioned, you also recall that in terms of taking over ownership, the people voted, and they waited. They waited, the votes were counted, like all Comrade Austin has already mentioned. So they even participated in the process of ensuring that these papers were sorted out party to party, the agents were there, and they were all counted. They made it just so very simple for the collating officer and all those people who were there. And video recording, everywhere was awash with a lot of video recording. And from what we are beginning to see, most of those recorded items are tallying with what is being released right now.
Yeah.
So the interest has really been there. Like I mentioned before, those state electors are so highly politically wired, intellectually and physically wired, that they were ready to confront anything. They were not armed, but they were ready with their bare arms to confront anything. The policemen, the security agencies, they had a free day, they were just there, while the citizens took over everything legitimately, and they did it perfectly very well. Like I mentioned before, this is it's a new paradigm shift entirely, politically and otherwise. The people who are beginning to take their destinies in their own hands. Power is for the people. It is when the people are not resolved that charlatans and some other miscreants will come and dictate the order of the day. But in Edo, they have shown, and they will continue to show, that Edo is not just called the heartbeat of the nation, just for the saying of that expression. In reality, it is. And you know, Edo has remained a stabilizing force in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, even while we're under colonial rule. Nigeria independence, Edo state is traceable to it. So the people of Edo, they are a special breed. They are no-nonsense group of people. And when they decide to say yes, there is no temptation you will bring their way that they cannot resist. There is no temptation. Through the length and breadth of the state, the results are beginning to show. So those who thought they could take the collective interest and destiny of the Edo state into their hands are beginning now to see that all things are passed away, and behold,
everything has become brand new.
And for your information, Edo state has now set the new political template that will reverberate through the nooks and crannies of this federation between now and 2023. So those who think that after God they are next, they should be getting ready to be shamed from one corner of this country to the other. The awareness is massive. Let us not forget about the international interest. Edolites, both home and in diaspora, all were involved.
Got involved.
They all got involved. All those statements you are hearing from White House, you are hearing from UK government, our people are deeply involved outside this nation, outside this country. The federal government of Nigeria is aware that Edo is not a place where we need to go and mess up. If we do, more trouble will come for the republic called Nigeria. So, all hands were on deck. The citizens were resolute that if you like, bring 500 battalions of military men. Tell them instructions on what to do. That may be contrary. But what we are seeing so far, we are not seeing any contrary instruction. That is the beauty of it all. Yeah. So we are appreciative to the security officials that came. They did a nice job. Yes, but whether you were bringing 500,000 policemen or 1 million army to Edo State, the people of Edo State, they were resolved to come out and cast their votes. Don't worry, the elections have been written. Don't just go and vote. The people, they will say, okay, we have heard. On that day, we will go. And yesterday, you saw it. They came out. So a massive statement was made yesterday. Positive statement has been made yesterday. And like Comrade Sakwe said, to whom much is given, much more will be expected. But the people will not give such votes and will also fold their hands akimbo and not see things work. Yeah. So the people must also be ready to collectively come together to say, yes, A, B, C, you are doing well. D, E, F, we don't think you are doing it right. This is what we have to tell you. Please do this to get them right. And I'm sure whoever comes at the end of the day will listen to the people of Edo State. The era of money politics is waning, and it's waning very fast. And let me remind the people that money politics, vote buying, started systematically in Edo. When I say vote buying, cash by cash, started systematically in Edo, and it's already dying in Edo. Edo State is not just called the heartbeat of the nation. In all area of positivism, we are present. We do not want to be present in areas of negativism. That is the new order. Edo State is no longer wanted to be mentioned in negative things. So that the pride, the place God has placed us originally as the stabilizing force for the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we will continue to maintain it. Politically, just look at the scenario. Just look at all the political parties that have existed. How many national party chairmen have we produced? In the SDP, NRC, just mention it. If the Nigeria wants to be stable politically, all other parts of Nigeria, they look up to Edo State. And I'm glad to say I'm a proud Edolite.
Fantastic. Comrade Austin, so it means that all these years that we've been going into what you could call political rigmaroling, it's because the people didn't live up to expectation.
Yes.
Not the political parties, not the gladiators.
Yes, there are two things that must merge in that analysis. The people have never really been stupid. The people know when there's good governance. They also know when there's bad governance. Certain factors awoke the people and bound them together. One of those is this, and we must send a clear-cut message to the political elite. There is no alternative to good governance. The people would not rally around an individual who, by all estimation, would be seen as a political starter. Because the people that were pitched on one side were those they fondly refer to as the political papawangans. You know, I didn't stay long enough in school to
be able to break that down.
That's all in English. So one of the things that bounded the people together is the fact that they recognized that good governance was taking place. They had become beneficiaries of the dividends of governance, not just dividends of democracy, the dividends of governance. So we all saw the campaigns, and I said it, and Sonny Duke, you are a midwife of a lot of the discussions around these campaigns and elections. You used to invite two parties or more. While one is saying this fellow didn't do anything, and the other one is saying, struggling to say, look, he did something, did this, did that. You always put the audience into it by asking them to place calls. And we found that in most cases, over 90% of those calls
Overwhelming.
were overwhelmingly in support of the evidence that good governance had taken place. So for me, I could tell where the people were going. Another thing that mobilized the people, really, was the manner of campaigns itself. For the first time, those who are traditionally not involved in campaigns got involved. I come from a development background, and I've been working there for over 28 years. And I mentioned there that the march I did under the auspices of the Edo Volunteer Voters Assembly was the first march I got involved in that was not a protest. The first that was not a protest. That's one. Two, and I think we discussed it here sometime. Why were traditional rulers endorsing candidates? And some people say they are traditional rulers, they shouldn't get involved. And I said it's not their fault. They were ruling over people who were determined. One of the hallmarks of a good ruler, a leader, whether it's traditional or political or economic or social or cultural, is that you do not go in the opposite direction of your people. For the first time, traditional rulers saw the enthusiasm in the people. They didn't have a choice but to flow with them. What of religious leaders? There was one I watched, 300 pulpits for Jew, which I saw. And I was wondering, a massive gathering of religious leaders, for perhaps the first time, left the comfort of their church, gathered somewhere, and endorsed the governor, and deposited divine prayers on his head, and pledged, that is the key, pledged to go out and mobilize their members to sow votes.
It also happened on the other side.
Yeah, no, I'm not particular about anyone.
Okay.
I have to tell you the one I was involved in, which I saw.
No, because we need to balance the
I understand.
Yes.
And the result of that, if you look at the trend of the results, you will know which was real and which was not. But like I said, we don't have the total picture yet.
Yes.
We will soon have 5 more local governments,
Absolutely.
even though some of us have it. So, but we also saw endorsements that were denied. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. Like my brother talked about social media. You can't hide these things anymore. We saw endorsements that was published, and the next day people are saying, where did you get that from? You only met with us. Did we endorse? You say you wanted to come and see us, and we'll give you audience. We saw all of that. So we knew which endorsements were genuine. We knew the ones that were not genuine. I don't want to make Sonny Duke uncomfortable.
Yeah, because
so
I'm watching you closely.
I'm waiting for the results to come first. But the final point I want to make on this matter is that people should understand. No guns, no ammunition, no weapon can withstand the strength of an idea which has come. What has just happened is that somebody did a few things and gave an opportunity for the people to take charge. Adams Oshomole, good man. You must give him credit for one thing. When he came to become governor here, the people now saw somebody who had been protesting on the streets. And they took protests as their favorite
weapon of expressing.
So we can protest now because you are a product of protesters. And in this one, you had somebody who was sitting in government who said, look, it's not about politicians anymore. It is about the people. It was Archimedes who said, give me a place to stand and I will move the world. So it takes a leader somewhere to say, look, there is a space which needs to be occupied. And nature abhors a vacuum. We can never look back. Certain things have been said now. Number one, there are units in which very powerful people who have billions, who are connected, they lost their own units. Money was deployed, but the people just, like you said, when you were talking, I saw a picture of people just folded their hands and said, okay, let them bring the ballot paper now. Let them bring the ballot paper. People just resolved, before leaving, they resolved to go and do what they wanted to do. And I saw elderly people coming out. But perhaps, more importantly, I don't know whether you saw it, since I started participating in voting and all that, this is the first time I saw a large quantum of the elite coming out to vote. Before this election, the elites were not interested. They just speak all the grammar and they go back into their houses. In my unit in Etete, unit 8 and 9 of Ward 2 Oredo, we now started relating, we started discussing. Doctors, university lecturers, big business people. We were talking with, and they were not in a hurry to go home. They not only voted, they waited eagerly to see that the one they did like this boy, that is actually reflects what eventually came out. So we can't go back from this. And we cannot overstate this. The need for the people to keep this trajectory. Okay. The need for the people to remain in the driving seats in such a way that, yes, politicians can have their say, but the people, because they are majority, must always have their way.
Thank you, Comrade Osino. I just want to talk a bit more about women participation. I mean, 14 governorship candidates, one woman. I don't know how far she went in the election itself, but at least we have a governorship candidate who is a woman. That's a plus, Dr. Bright.
Yeah, it's a plus. You know, consider the way the election was, as in the build up to the election and every other thing. Yes, women were involved as candidates, but well, take it or leave it. We have about 14 political parties. Yeah. but we had two major political parties. But unfortunately, women were not part of those the two major political.
And as a running mate.
Yes,
yeah.
as a running mate or whatever.
Yeah.
But there was one thing that stood out. I think the women campaigned more than the men in this election.
Yeah.
The women campaigned more than the men in this election. The various slogans and the various movements, not just in one of the political parties.
We're ready with the result announcement now, so we'll just bring you up to speed with that. Stay with us.
8365. NNPP 34. NNPP 34. NRM 73. NRM 73. PDP 43498. PDP 43498.
And while the remaining results are being collated, Sokoto State Governor
Yes, of course, official result is announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for 13 local governments so far. That's what you have on the screen from Eastern Central, Eastern Northeast, Igwebe, Ego, Uhunde, and of course Ikbobaha, and then Uredu, Eastern Central is also available. Eastern Northeast is available. Igwebe, I mean 13 of them altogether. Just to help you keep tabs with the results as they're coming forth. I'm sure in the next couple of minutes we're going to see INEC come with the last result, which of course they're already putting together. But we were talking about women participation, and something Dr. Brad said that struck me, and I think I observed that. We saw the women come out of their shell to campaign as well, just the same way their husbands were campaigning, particularly for the two major political parties. Yes, let me get your take on that.
So like I was saying, we also saw the women moving for the two political parties. They were going round. Now, another important area was that apart from those women who had political affiliation, just like, the wife of the candidate, or either women leader or female party leaders, we now have those who do not have political affiliation coming up to start saying this is what it should be, this is what it should be. I could say, for example, my wife is not a partisan person or into any of all those this, but she keep, anytime she go out interact with some of the women, she keep coming back and talking about say, okay, don't worry, I've heard. That's what she wants to say. You know, that interest is very.
Women were saying 4+4.
So we should not talk about that. You know, so you could see that anxiety, you could see that willingness to participate.
Yeah.
Now, there was restriction of movement. I saw people trekking.
Yeah.
Long distances.
Some people trekking. I actually felt bad yesterday when I was driving because I have to start going alone. You know, carrying some persons could
That you could. I remember
Yeah.
I gave a woman a lift. She used to stay at Uselu. She moved to, I think they moved to Aduwawa area. At some point, she got to a point where she couldn't get a vehicle. She had to start trekking. Fortunately for her, she met me when I was by the army checkpoint at 5 Junction. Please, I'm going to Idaki. I looked at her. Should I pick her? Should I? But when I saw the way she was sweating, I had to pick her, and then I dropped her at I said, I hope you have your PVC. She said, yes, she even showed me. Well, I can't tell you what the other things were.
No, it's not actually necessary, but like I said, it was actually tempting, you know, to say, oh, you see people find, like you mentioned, carry people, you could be aroused.
Just to assist them.
Just to assist them. But again, at the various places where we observed, you also know that it may be difficult for the man to sit probably on the grass or just sit on the floor. But it's not difficult for the women.
No.
They just put one wrapper or one thing and they sit down and they are telling you they are waiting.
Yes.
They are telling you they are waiting. So you can actually see them, you know, in their listen. So I packed some distance from the polling unit. I saw them, they went far. They said, don't worry, whatever thing that he said, we'll be hearing from this distance. You know, some of the guys, the men, they will just, maybe they voted and they will just walk away. But I saw majority of women. Even most remarkable was one old woman. Very old woman. Some say she's 100, some say she's 120 something.
Wow.
But that woman is well over 80 years. You know, she came to vote. And she said she was to vote for her. So you could look at it, the women participation. And to me, I don't want to see it as an expo. Is to say that if the women can take charge, you understand, and if they have a way to feature maybe any candidate and say, okay, we are training our weight behind this particular lady, they will have their way also. Thank you.
All right. Dr. Comrade Money Mike Modesty. Yes, women participation. Satisfied in terms of the level of involvement?
I must tell you, this is the very first time that women genuinely trooped out.
At some point, I ever thought it was as though some of the women, they were actually candidates themselves.
Yes.
With the level of engagement.
Yes. So when I say women, I'm talking from the feminine perspective.
Okay.
Girls and the likes of the married ones and our elderly ones.
Yeah.
It was a massive trooping out. They trooped out massively. In virtually all election venues, you could see...
Okay, it looks like they are back with the announcement of the results. We'll just take you back to the live broadcast of the announcement of results from Edo 2020.
21027.
Okay, go ahead.
The number of participating voters is is 46967. 46967. The votes received by
That is number of accredited voters. Number of accredited voters. 46967.
Then votes received by political parties. AA is 6. 6. AA is 6. ADC is 7-4. ADP is 139. 139. APC is 22963. 22963. APGA APGA is 10. That's 10. 10. APN is 4. APN 4. APP is 5. LP is 4. NNPP is 18. 18. NRM is 29. PDP is 20101. 20101. SDP is 14. That's 14. YPP is 7. YPP is 7. ZLP is 3. ZLP is 3. The total valid votes is 43377. 43377. The rejected votes is 617. 617. The total votes cast is 439. 43994. 43994.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, that's the result.
Record of cancellation.
I think we have some.
Record of cancellation.
There is none.
No. Check.
Translation. Yeah? Only okay. Only 1 unit.
1 unit.
1 unit.
Let's have it.
We have.
What is the number of total of results that 1 unit? Bro.